Can Toledo head coach Jason Candle work up here in East Lansing? Well, it's not just me going to debate it. We have Kyle Rowland of the Toledo Blade to join us. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, happy coaching search season as we wade into the 7th or 8th week here. I've already lost count, guys, let's be honest. But this is exciting because we actually have, confirmed names that Michigan State is talking to. And, one of these names, no, it's not Urban Meyer. No, it's not Mike Elko, but Jason Candle down at Toledo. And guys, believe me, I know that some of you just want to drive your car into a median because I didn't say that, hey, it could be Urban Meyer, but no, Jason Candle is confirmed to be one of the people MSU will interview. It's not just me going to blab on and on about this. I'm not going to try to sell you on Jason Candle just myself. No. We have Kyle Rowland of the Toledo Blade. Kyle, first of all, thanks a lot for joining us, man. And second of all, how is the college football season treating you so far?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Happy to be here. Little tired today. Didn't leave Bowling Green till 1:30 a.m. last night after a thrilling game. But yeah, always fun to talk about college football.
Let's talk about Bowling Green right now, actually, because Toledo, outside their stadium, they have a rocket, and legend has it, it points right at the 50-yard line of their rival Bowling Green. So first things first, most important part out of the way, if Michigan State hires Jason Candle, do we get the rocket that comes with it, and can we face it to Ann Arbor, do you think? Is that going to be a point of contention, you think?
I don't know. Robin Freilich, the women's basketball coach who came from Bowling Green, might not like that. So
That's a good call. So let's get into brass tacks here because, like I said, I mean, there are a great contingent of Michigan State fans that hear Jason Candle and they hear, oh, great, Matt coach. That's not the Mike Elkos of the world. It's not the Urban Meyers of the world. Me personally, I have Jason Candle in my can easily talk myself into it tier. First tier is Urban Meyer. The second tier is like the Elkos and the Leopolds. But the third tier is Jason Candle. I'm excited to see where this goes from here. In your opinion, you hear Michigan State is interested in Jason Candle. Your immediate thought is what? Does it make sense for you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've thought since the day this job opened that would be a fit for Jason Candle. At Toledo, it seems like every time a job opens up, people are like, oh, I wonder, like, Candle be a candidate? Candle be, it's like Boise State, no, like not a fit. Texas A&M, no, not a fit. I mean,
right.
So, it takes the right type of job. I mean, Indiana obviously could potentially open. I think that would also be a fit. Purdue would have been a fit last year. But I mean, this is a guy who recruits Detroit really, really well. He also has some other guys on his staff. Corey Parker was just a great high school coach in Detroit. I think he would probably come along with him if he got the job.
Gotcha.
But I really think it'd be a good fit. He's a Michigan State type of guy, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Been very successful, has shown that he can kind of build or sustain a program. Good offensive mind. He's rebuilt the defensive staff. I mean, people probably aren't super familiar with Toledo, but a few years back, their defense was just horrific. I mean, it basically, caused them to flounder, and program was kind of at a crossroads. He got rid of the defensive coordinator, brought Vince Karras, the longtime coach at Mount Union, which most people know is this unbelievable program. And he's rebuilt the defense into a really solid unit. They've been top 35 in the country since 2020 when he arrived. I think he would be a fit. I think he'd be a good hire.
And that's one thing that's maybe a sticking point with some State fans. It's like, well, he's been at Toledo forever, which I guess 7 years doesn't seem like forever, guys. But there are some people that feel like that. So why has he been there for 7 years? Like when these other jobs open up in years past, is it because he is a little on the pickier side, or is there something else, or is it just there's never been a position that really just made sense for him, you think?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a smorgasbord of things. I think he is he can be choosy. I mean, he makes over $1 million.
Yeah.
He lives in a good community up here. His kids go to which is ranked every year as the best school in the entire state of Ohio. I mean,
Gotcha.
those kind of life things do matter to coaches. Fans
Right.
don't always kind of look at it, but it does kind of matter. I mean, he's been here for 14 total years. If you go back to his time as an assistant, he's an Ohio guy, but that's also why I think he would fit at Michigan State. I mean, like, what's the difference between Ohio and I mean, it's the same footprint, the same kind of familiarity, Midwest recruiting, all that kind of stuff. So he's been choosy. I mean, when UCF opened, I forget the year exactly. I want to say 2017 or 18. It was when they hired Josh Heupel. It was kind of between him and Heupel. I mean, there's speculation that Candle was offered the job, turned it down. That's never totally been verified.
Okay.
And then they kind of had some down years, 2018, 2019. His name kind of came off a little bit, and now he's kind of re-risen to be in the thick of things. So I just think it's been a combination of being choosy, his stock rising and falling.
Now, has Jason been directly asked about his name being connected to Michigan State, or is that not even something that's popped up yet this season? Which, by the way, like a good season, a 10-1 season, as many fans already know, but just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, no, not yet. I mean,
okay,
obviously it's out there.
Yeah.
Well, once there's like true direct links, I mean, I think it'll become a huge topic. But I will say, I don't expect him to interview for any jobs until after the MAC championship game. I would be very surprised if he did, just with kind of knowing how he operates.
Okay.
The stakes of everything that's there for Toledo. Like, he does not want to mess that up.
Sure.
I mean, he's one of those like tunnel vision focused guys. I mean, if you recall, Luke Fickell a few years back when Cincinnati was having their, dream season, he was basically like, listen, I'm all hands on deck with Cincinnati. I mean, there's some speculation maybe that cost him the Notre Dame job. I mean, I expect Jason to do the same thing. But I don't know. He gets a little irritated when the job stuff comes up, and I totally get it for coaches because it affects recruiting. Their current players have to hear about it. I don't know. It's probably not fun to have to discuss in public, like
very awkward
and stuff like that. But I mean, he essentially turned down Miami, Florida the last 2 years, for the offensive coordinator job. And it was always hard to get him to speak about that kind of stuff.
And would definitely love to get more on the offensive side of the ball next segment. But before all that, one massive sticking point here in Michigan State is recruiting, because you look around, okay, Ohio State's killing it, Michigan killing it, Penn State, Notre Dame, like, oh, great. And we got some really good West Coast teams coming in too. Recruiting is going to have to be the lifeblood of any program rebuild, or even the transfer portal as well. It's a different beast doing it in the MAC, but have you seen anything that he's done with recruiting in the MAC, or just his activity in the transfer portal, that could keep Michigan State fans optimistic if this were to happen?
Yeah, I mean, in 6 of his whatever years, I forget now how many years he's been in Toledo, or it's either 5 or 6 years, they've had the number 1 recruiting class in the MAC. So
got it. Okay.
I mean, if you compare yourself against your true competition and you're number 1, I mean, I would say that's a good sign. I mean, I think he is a good recruiter. I mean, he's young. He played at a high level. I mean, he won multiple national championships at Mount Union as a player. He got, Pierre Garçon and God, I forget. I'm drawing a blank now. Cecil Shorts to Mount Union. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
That's not bad.
Talking about those type of guys. I mean, just look at Toledo, how many NFL guys they have. For a group of 5, a MAC program, I mean, it's pretty impressive. This year's team has got, I mean, Quinyon Mitchell was an All-American last year, cornerback. He might be a first-round draft pick this coming year. And I think even more impressive than identifying him is keeping him. I mean, he's from Florida. A lot of people wanted him in the offseason. It was kind of, you kind of heard about the stories in the background. And for him to stay at Toledo, I think is a huge feather in their cap.
And let's get more into the offense here, the defense too, and a few other things. But first, I'm sorry, Kyle. This has been a great conversation. I got to kick you to the bench because I need to talk to people's ears off about LinkedIn jobs. Folks, you know the drill. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business, and you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's where you have to go check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Gang, it is so easy to post your job on LinkedIn Jobs. Even a schmuck like me can do it with ease. So while you do so, hey, make sure you add the purple hashtag hiring frame around your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you are hiring. Simple tools like screening questions, they make it easy to focus on the right candidates with just the right skills and experience so that you can quickly prioritize who you would like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. And like I said, for free. And if it's free, well, it's for me. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions. You got that right, Buster. They apply. Also need to talk your ear off about the greatest non-alcoholic brewing in the game. It's Athletic Brewing. You already know what it's at. Now it is time for your game changer of the week, brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Much like, well, any sport that's not football or basketball, Athletic Brewing has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. And as long as Athletic has been a partner, actually even before that, we've already had Athletic in our household. Their hazy IPA, second to none. It is fantastic. So if you're ever just sitting around the house, you want to have a beer, but you don't want to feel all hungover the next morning, crack open a few Athletic Brewings. They're already going to taste better than whatever you are drinking before. And, well, we're going to save you a little bit of cash here as well. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic beers at a store near you or buy online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your first online order. That is code LOCKEDON at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Near beer, exclusions and conditions apply. It's Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times. And let's drag Kyle Rowland back onto the stage here of the Toledo Blade, of course. Kyle, something that I really do like, and this is like the easy part of talking yourself into Jason Candle, is that offense is fireworks more times than it's not. Mm-hmm. Here's a really just in-depth, hardcore question. Why? Why is it always so good at Toledo under Jason Candle?
I mean, part of it's got to be coaching. I mean, you look at the amount of years he's been OC and head coach. The players have obviously turned over in that amount of time.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I always kind of compare. This is kind of a weird thing, but like, I feel like when people think of Chip Kelly's offense, they think of like, at least maybe this is me, but you often think of like passing, but it's not really true. Like it's fireworks and they have a lot of, big plays. And I guess I'm talking more about Oregon Chip than now at UCLA, but I mean, he was huge on the run game and he wanted, the 50-50 pass run. Like that's how I view Candle. I mean, a lot of people think like, man, they have great passing game with Logan Woodside back in 2017. And even now they have some good receivers. And a lot of times you equate high scoring, high volume, high yardage offenses to, they must throw the ball a ton. Well, it's like not necessarily true. Toledo runs the ball incredibly well every season. The offensive line this year is just outstanding. I mean, Penny Boone going into Tuesday was the 11th leading rusher in the country. The offensive line had allowed the second fewest sacks in the country, the 9th fewest tackles for loss, and the rushing offense, I think, was ranked 7th in the country. So, I mean, that is like unreal. I mean, you've got Daquan Finn, who's this major under-the-radar quarterback. By the way, 1 season of eligibility left. Would he go to Michigan State with Jason Candle? I mean, he's a Michigan kid. That's
sure.
that's a lot of speculation there. But yeah, I mean, I just think I think it works because he calls the right plays at the right time. He's got good athletes. He kind of has a knack for deciphering defenses, and they've performed well. I mean, the one knock on Candle with Toledo fans is like they haven't won the truly big monumental games, which previous Toledo coaches have. But like, I mean, Toledo absolutely should have beat Notre Dame in 2021.
Okay.
They blew it at the end. Notre Dame went right down the field and scored. They should have beat Illinois this season.
Yeah.
Kind of same thing. I mean, 4th and 10, kind of miracle play. Illinois converted, but you got to give them credit for it. So that's kind of where, like last year at San Diego State, I know they're not great, but it would have been a really good win on the road. Defense, again, kind of, lets them go down the field and they lose. And this year has been different. Like Toledo fans, I mean, somewhat like Michigan State, probably. I mean, they have kind of a fatalistic attitude. They're always expecting the worst thing.
You think?
Yeah.
Gee,
Always expecting
where that came from.
Yeah. Always expecting the worst thing to happen. But like this year, the worst thing hasn't happened. Like Toledo has pulled out all these games. The offenses needed to make plays when they have needed it, have made it when they needed it. Defense, same thing. So yeah, I mean, I think it all, starts at the top. And another thing, you didn't ask about this, but the culture at Toledo, I think, has just been excellent.
Okay.
Incredibly important. I mean, Kendall's a great culture builder. Players love him. They all come back. I mean, I've covered college sports for a while, so I hate to like sound naive, but like he truly is the type of coach that like cares deeply about his players and kind of the off the field type of stuff.
Based on maybe some rumors that I've heard, and it's maybe not even rumors, but we could use some of that up here in East Lansing based on how the last regime ended. Not great over here, Kyle, but with the offense, is there a certain position he takes under his wing, namely quarterback by any chance? Like, is he a good quarterback developer? Or is there another position group that he really excels at, or what is he most hands-on with on the offense? Yeah,
I mean, definitely quarterback. I mean, he was a wide receiver in college, so
right.
Obviously you would be intimately familiar with quarterbacks, playing that position, but no, 100%. I mean, he's essentially a second quarterbacks coach, and he does call the plays for Toledo. I mean, DeQuan Finn, and I assume a lot of these listeners may be familiar with him just because he's from Michigan. I mean, he was a tremendous high school player, but I think he was kind of the definition of an athlete playing quarterback in high school.
Okay.
I mean, he still has a funky throwing motion, and he looks a little unnatural at times, but I mean, he was just absolutely like the rawest prospect you could ever have when he came to Toledo, and, basically didn't play for 2 seasons. And they just developed him behind the scenes like crazy. He worked his butt off. Like, I mean, there's legendary stories about him, like literally breaking into the football facility at night just to throw passes and stuff. Gotcha. And he's developed into a really solid college quarterback. His throwing numbers have steadily improved each year. Obviously, he's a great runner, and he already had those skills. I mean, Logan Woodside is still a backup third string quarterback in the NFL. He's been in the league for like 5 years now. Philip Ely was another guy. He transferred to Toledo from Alabama and was really effective. I mean, he's done a really good job, getting everything he can out of these quarterbacks.
And before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your week, first of all, thanks a ton for your time and your knowledge. This has been a great chat. Like I said at the top of the show, my tier 1, Urban Meyer, like that is the pie in the sky pipe dream over here for me and a lot of other state fans. Tier 2, your Elkos, your Lance Leopolds, Jonathan Smith. Tier 3, I can easily talk myself into them category. That's right, Jason Candle. Do I have him too low? Should he be like a tier 2 guy to me, in your opinion, or how you feeling here?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, Urban should definitely be where he is. And I totally understand why Michigan State fans would want him. I think Elko makes a ton of sense. You just wonder how much A&M is a pull for him.
Yeah.
I think Lance Leopold would be an absolutely outstanding hire. You wonder, Kansas seems pretty committed to football, which is remarkable.
I know.
So right. I wonder if he'd leave or not. So, yeah, I don't know. Good question. Definitely no lower than tier 3, maybe a tier 2 type of guy.
Yeah, I just want someone to make my mind up for me. This coaching search has been too stressful, so I'm looking for any help where I can get it. But Kyle, you've helped a ton. Thank you so much. I know we're a little over on time right now, so really do appreciate it. Anything you want to plug here before we let you go and enjoy the rest of your day here?
Yeah, I guess you can. ToledoBlade.com, my Twitter account, Kyle Rowland, KyleRowland. I assume here in a couple of weeks, the Michigan State fans will be reading my tweets.
Hey, Let's hope so. If you're in the Jason Candle camp, let's hope so. There we go. Well, gang, we will be back here in a hot segment with some mailbag questions. So, hey, stay tuned. All right, gang, just need to talk your ear off about PrizePicks, the leader in daily fantasy sports. They make it so easy, so fun to really just care about games that otherwise you would not care any less about. That's my favorite part of PrizePicks. I'll just be sitting on the couch, make my PrizePicks slip of some NBA action, some NHL action, or hey, if it's on a Sunday, some NFL action as well. And it's so easy to play. You just take the players. They're going to give you their projected stats. You just got to guess over or under. And if you put enough players on your slip, you can maximize your money times 25. Again, these are going to be games on TNT or Fox or CBS that I don't care about. But now that I have action on the game thanks to PrizePicks, I'm glued to the TV. And also, well, it takes so few seconds to make your picks as well. I can make my picks in 27 seconds sometimes. So they want to get you winning early. So go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. It's daily fantasy sports made easy with PrizePicks. All right, let's dive headfirst into the mailbag here, lockedonspartans@gmail.com. And people use that email address for many, many ways. Venting. Got a lot of venting, whether it's football or basketball, or hey, if you're like Robert, who also wrote some very nice words, a big fan of the podcast. He also just sent a picture of his trailer hitch. He caps it with the Michigan State logo, like many of us great state fans do. But Robert said enough. All right, he has turned it upside down. So if you want to know how much disgust Michigan State sports has given to some people out there, enough for them to turn their trailer hitch upside down. So we will keep tabs on Robert, see when or if he will ever flip that back to the right side. But let's get into a few questions here. Another way to ask a question is Sheehan_sports, like that green guy wrote. All right. He says, would you rather, two options here, hire a guy who has a high ceiling that could get Michigan State back to competing for Big Ten titles and national championships, but has equal odds of being bottom Big Ten program, kind of like Mel Tucker, all or nothing type of hire, super high risk guy, or option B, hire someone who is going to for sure put out a competent product and go 8-4 or 9-3 every season, with the exception of a 10-2 or 7-5 season. Knock off Michigan every couple of years or so, typically in that top 25 to 15 ranking throughout the season. A good team, but not elite. Man, I got this sent to me maybe 3 hours ago, and I've been going back and forth throughout both, because I'll tell you what, I think a lot of us can agree right now. I'd give a lot to have an 8-4 team here in East Lansing. I mean, nothing sounds better than a few Music City Bowls or Las Vegas Bowls, just kind of, waddling in the middle right there of mediocrity. Hey, we're fun. We beat some teams. The teams we're supposed to, but are we beating Penn State, Ohio State? No, not really, but at least we're competitive. But at the end of the day, we got a December 30th bowl game that we could all look forward to. That sounds so appealing right now after the last two seasons. I would just love some stability. But then again, as I'm saying, up and down, like I have this episode, that Urban Meyer is my tier 1 guy. You talk about a boom or bust guy, the boom being, he could throttle you up to national championship heights almost right off the bat. I think it'd take a 2-year process to get up to that level, but still, that's pretty quick. That is lickety split up here. But also, hey, he hasn't coached in the NIL era. He hasn't coached in the transfer portal era. It has been quite some time. And no, I don't think he's ever inherited a situation like he has at Michigan State. How will his temperament handle taking over such a dire situation here? He's my tier 1 guy still. So I think I'd be hypocritical if I said, no, I'm just going to go with the safe guy. Option B. Let's just go for the boomer bust guy. We've done the bust thing for a few years here. We're currently in a bust situation. And we're all alive. We're kind of still by definition here. What if, though, it is a 50-50 shot of, you get to throttle yourselves to national prominence? So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with option A. I would rather swing and miss on a huge fish, because just like you said, that kind of was the Mel Tucker era. And in such a small window, we got best of both worlds. The 2021 season, which was great, and then followed up with 2 horrible years. I mean, I do want that taste back in my mouth. The taste of that Peach Bowl, which will pretty soon be a top 12 spot. which would put you in the college football playoffs. Yeah, give me that. Another question here. We're going to switch it back to basketball because, well, we can't just completely ignore that sport, even though it's been disappointing us after 3 games. Michael writes in some venting, but we are going to, take some of his points and add some comments on top of that. Michael writes in, the season is over. 7 or 8 seeds, second round loss, a bunch of clowns out there, upperclassmen with no heart and no leadership, unwatchable. Their best player is a 6-foot guard from Northeastern. Again, nice development, Tom. If you want me to echo a lot of that with the development, we talked about the Mady Sissoko thing and just the front court thing for quite some time on yesterday's show after the Duke game, and just how outright disappointing that has been. And yeah, the leadership, that's something that, well, not just, me and you out there emailing is saying, like, Tom Izzo has also had some disappointment with the leadership as well. However, after the Duke game, he kind of was in AJ's corner a little bit. And I don't know if this is a thing where it's like, oh man, AJ's really struggling out there. I know I've been riding him like a $3 mule at times in his career, but maybe I kind of like gently handle him right now to maybe, talk him up. Maybe that's what he needs this time around, because after the game, you may have seen this quote by now. We will say it again, that Hoggard went up to Izzo as they were walking into the locker room, and Hoggard apparently said, quote, "If I don't play better, you should bench me. This is ridiculous." AJ, I will agree with you there. This is ridiculous that we are 3 games in. We've made 5 field goals. We've only attempted 7 free throws. We are not the player whatsoever that we were to end the season last year. The one that would just take over games, the one that would drive through the lane, the one that, hey, it wasn't total outright vocal leadership, but at least you were leading by example out there. Where's the Duke game? All right, he has a turnover, goes down other end of the court when Michigan State has a sliver of hope in that game, and gives up a wide open rebound for an easy putback for Duke. And he wasn't the only player, too. Like, Mady Sissoko could have boxed out. I don't want to say the wrong third player, but there are 3 players that could have boxed out this one Duke guy, and they just didn't. So, yeah, leadership is lacking here. But also, Izzo did take the route of, talking about how proud he is of Hoggard for, what he's done in the offseason at practice. I think just kind of making sure that putting out to the, just State fans and also Hoggard himself that, we know you have it, bud. Like, we know you're here. We know you've put in the work. Like, I know that it does not look good to the people that don't know what's going on in practice, that think that you're just some lazy, leaderless guy. But I think that was his way of saying, like, no, guys, it is a slow burn here. It has been a disappointing start to the season, but it's not of lack of, effort in the offseason or leadership, at least right now, that I see, says Tom Izzo. So, but let's talk about the tourney thing right now, because what better time to panic about March Madness than before Thanksgiving? And believe me, I do it. There's no sickness I have in this world that's worse than my bracketology addiction, and I'm already feeding it, because when you're 1-2, when you go into the season thinking, hey, 1 or 2 seed, we're not going to talk 1 and 2 record. No, we're going to talk 1 or the 2 seed, and then you do start instead 1 and 2. It's worth talking about. And just like Michael says, he's worried about it being a 7 or an 8 seed. I have concerns about that as well, but let's see how realistic that is. Let's go to my favorite website in the world. You guys have heard me reference this many times before, barttorvik.com. The computer-based basketball analytics website is the best way I'll describe it right now. But they have spreads or lines, if you will, for future games, who they think is going to win by how many points. You can punch in, all right, Michigan State's going to win this game, win this one, lose that one, win that. With the projected spreads, I took the games that Michigan State's supposed to win, marked them as wins, and even the ones they're supposed to lose, marked them as losses. Now, of course, college basketball is just so simple, and of course there's going to be no upsets along the way. So this is 100% what is going to happen here. Of course, I'm lacing that with sarcasm, and a lot of these games, like I think the Wisconsin game, like they're favored by 0.7 points. Like there are some razor thin lines here, but for sake of conversation, they're supposed to win. Mark that as a win, loss as a loss. That spits out a 22-11 record. And also I added in a Big Ten tournament win and a Big Ten tournament loss. 22-11 overall against those teams would get Michigan State a 6th seed, says Bart Torvik. So less than 2 weeks into the season, that's where we're already at right now, going from number 1 or at worst number 2 in many bracketologies out there to, hey, if you win all the games you're supposed to and lose the ones that we think you're going to lose, here's a 6th seed for you. So Great start to the season, guys. There we go. God. All right. Hey, we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking a little bit more about this Michigan State football coaching search, of course. And then, we do have some games this week, and we got to preview the Butler game, the Indiana game, and then, hey, we may even get around to the Alcorn State game on Sunday. But until then, love you all. Go Green.